Good morning, everyone. I have the distinct honor to introduce our panelists, our moderator tonight. Pamela McCowan is lovingly referred to as the godmother of District 56. She has served in leadership roles since first joining Toastmasters in October 2001 as a charter officer of her home club, Firm Speakers Toastmasters. Beyond District 56, she has served as an international director on the Toastmaster Board of Directors, a Toastmaster International Leadership Committee member, an international semifinals contest Toastmaster for 9 years, a Toastmaster International Disciplinary Committee member, and is currently serving as a region advisor for Region 2 in Southern California. She treasures international presidential citation presented in Kuala Lumpur, recognizing her tireless commitment to supporting club growth efforts because it is a constant reminder that members matter most. The greatest treasure of all in Toastmasters is the opportunity to meet and form relationships with a diverse group of learners that are committed to being better than they were yesterday. We are all forever learning and growing in Toastmasters. Let's welcome our leadership panel moderators, 2021-2022 Region 2 Advisor, past International Director, distinguished Toastmaster, Pamela McCowan.
Thank you, Joe. Welcome, everyone, to the Sunday morning Toastmasters Leadership Wake-Up Call. Awaken the leader within you. I'm pleased to have our Program Quality Director and District Director-elect, Joe Idoux, as the chat master. We encourage you to type in your questions for the panelists during the session, and we will get to as many of those questions as possible during our hour together. If you have questions now, just start putting them in there, and Joe will monitor that for us. Our objective for this session is to facilitate discussion on leadership lessons at different levels of leadership and encourage conference attendees to continue the conversation in their clubs about becoming a leader in our organization. We have a story, we all have a story about what brought us to Toastmasters. Today, we will discuss the path to leadership learning opportunities and explore why the leaders on the panel stay in Toastmasters. We are honored today to be speaking with Mohammed Qayoom, Region 5 International Director, Lark Doley, 2018-2019 International President, Jana Barnhill, 2008-2009 International President, and of course our own District Director, Williams Bradford. Yay. Now it's time to get to know a little bit more about our panelists before we start taking your questions. Each panelist will be called upon to give a brief introduction to the audience and give their thoughts on our opening topic. Tell us about the best online meeting you attended during the past year and what made it memorable. We'll start with Mohammed Qayoom.
Thank you. My leadership journey, why I'm here, how did I get here? I remember one day, there's a gentleman in our district, his name is Greg Kitchen. He was serving as a division director. And he came to me and he said, Mohammed, I have a proposition for you. I said, Greg, you have a proposition for me? What do you have for me? And Greg said, I would like you to serve as an area director. My response was, what do I get to direct? And then Greg went on and explained what an area director does. And he went through all the benefits and how it would help me in my career and my goals and objectives. So I listened to Greg for 20 minutes. And I said, Greg, thank you very much. I'm not interested. And I said, Greg, just come back next year. And next year, Greg came back. And Greg started all over. Mohammed, I have a proposition for you. And just to make him go away, I said, yes, Greg, I'll do it for you. But you know, Greg was a leader who helped me, who showed me the way. That's what we heard during our last session, but he was there for me. And I don't think if it wasn't because of Greg, I probably wouldn't be in leadership. And when I started serving in leadership, yes, I knew about Toastmasters and I knew what it provided to the members and how I benefit from it. But after spending some time in leadership, I learned the real value of Toastmasters. I learned how it transforms the lives, how it transforms the society. And that's when I learned about my passion for Toastmasters. So that's how I got into the leadership. Now, leadership today is a little bit different. Right? Leadership doesn't stay the same. During these times, we learn how to be, as my mentor Lark says, compassionate. How do we become more agile? How do we make decisions fast? That's the change in leadership that I have seen, and that's what we practice on the board. Being agile. If you have seen decisions that we have made on the board, these are decisions that we had to make. We didn't have 5 years to talk about the decisions and to make the decisions. We had to make decisions. And that's what leadership is about. When it's time to make the decisions, leaders make decisions. And sometimes you may have to take corrective actions, but the decisions need to be made. Going back to my most memorable Toastmasters meeting, during the last 12, 16 months, I've attended many online meetings, like most of you. And some of the meetings had 3 members who all took double roles, but we still had a good meeting. One meeting that I attended 2 weeks ago, so I work for PwC Toastmasters. Oh, yeah, I work for Toastmasters too. You know, if you ask my children, I mean, now they know better, but they used to say, yeah, my dad works for the Toastmasters. I'm like, oh, I have another job that pays the bills. But I work for PwC, and we have a Toastmasters club that I belong to, and we have Toastmasters club, PwC Toastmasters all over the world. But this meeting 2 weeks ago is where all of the PwC Toastmasters clubs got together. And this was a great meeting, just the diversity in the room, the different ideas that came in that meeting. And I got a table topics question, and the question was silence. I'm like, how do you expect a Toastmaster to be silent? But I talked about the importance of being silent. So that's one of the most memorable meetings in the last 12 months or so. Back to you.
Thank you, Mohammed. Now we go to Lark Doley.
I may have the distinction of having the longest journey from joining Toastmasters to becoming president of this organization. So my first point to all of you, it is never too late to achieve your dreams in Toastmasters. Or as Cheryl Bradford said last night, your dreams do not have an expiration date. So I love that. But my leadership journey in Toastmasters is a series of starts and stops. And the reason for that is because at multiple points throughout my journey, I thought I was finished with my leadership journey. But what happened is that people tapped me on the shoulder and said, Lark, would you consider doing this? So just as Mohammed talked about becoming an area director, it is so important that we tap people on the shoulder and we say to them, Lark, would you do this? Or hopefully you'll insert their name. Would you consider this? So it is up to us to encourage every single member in our organization to fulfill their complete potential in this organization. Every member starts with their first My Why, as we discussed on Thursday, but they may not know their second My Why, or their third, or their fourth. We want them to have a lifelong journey in this organization. And so I have savored every single golden nugget in this organization. But because people have encouraged me, because people have seen things in me that I could not see in myself, that's why I have continued in leadership. And I would never have become the president of Toastmasters International if not for those individuals. And truly, it began with the red hot mama from District 56, Jean Riggs, who asked me after I had served as an area and division governor if I would chair the District 56 conference in Austin, Texas. And that inspired me to want to do more. And then she asked me if I would be an assistant to one of the district officers. And that led me to become a member of the trio and to fulfill the district governor of District 55. But again, I thought my journey stopped there. And it wasn't until past international directors and an up and coming international director asked me what my next step in my journey was. And that made me interested in international director. So at every step of my journey, people encouraged me. And that is our responsibility, is to see the potential in each member. And after they finish their first My Why, to encourage them to achieve their second, their third, until they fulfill their complete potential in our organization. And I thank leaders like the Red Hot Mama, like Jana Barnhill, like Pamela McCown for their encouragement to continue my journey. Now, as far as online clubs, I cannot limit it to one. I will tell you about 4. The first one was a Russian club. And the reason I mentioned that one is because they were conducting hybrid meetings in September of 2020. They were conducting hybrid meetings, not online meetings, but hybrid meetings. So that blew my mind at the time that it happened. I was just going, all right, this is what we all need to do once the pandemic is over. But they started before that. Then the bilingual French and English Golden Toastmasters Club in Johannesburg, South Africa, they held their meeting in English to accommodate the Arthur Storer Toastmasters Club. They normally hold it in French and English, and for us, they held it in English. So I thank them for that. Then the Dungeons and Dragons Toastmaster Club, who have adapted some of the roles in their club, Wizard of Oz, Cleric of Rhetoric, and Sorcerer of Timing. I thought those were very clever. And then finally, the Northern Nomads Advanced Toastmasters Club in Australia. They have a 2.5-hour meeting. They divide it into 2 parts, and they have role players in the first half and different role players in the second half. They have the Word Power and Wizard. They have the right of reply role, and that is the right of reply to your evaluator as a speaker. They have longer table topics to challenge every member because, again, this is an advanced Toastmasters club, and they assign the evaluators for each table topic during the meeting to members from their club or members from other clubs. They have a president's address. They have a warm-up at the beginning of their meeting that is based on the theme of the meeting, and every person in the meeting must respond to that warm-up. And let's see if there's anything else. And they have a use of technology role player who evaluates the use of technology by each person on the agenda. So those were the fascinating online club meetings I have attended and some of the aspects of those meetings. Back to you, Madam Moderator.
Thank you, Lark. And now we move to Jana Barnhill.
Thank you so much, Pam, and Mohammed and Lark for your comments. Lark made the comment she may have the distinction of having the longest journey to serve as international president. I probably have the distinct reason of the panelists and maybe most of the membership for why I am here in the first place. You know, members join for different reasons. People come to Toastmasters, some because they were invited by a friend, but they thought they were going to lunch. Others because a boss suggested it. Others because they were truly terrified to stand before a group and speak. Many reasons bring people to Toastmasters. My honest reason for being here is because the year before I joined, my husband had joined, and I thought he was just having too much fun without me. That's it. I did not come to this organization with any lofty goals, no high expectation. I didn't know there was a way, much less to go it and show it. But we went to our first conference. This was before I was even a member. He came home one evening after his Toastmasters Club, and he said, there's going to be some kind of conference here this weekend. You want to go? And really neither one of, I certainly didn't know what to expect, but really he, even as a member, didn't know either. And I said, okay. And we didn't attend the entire convention. We went to the evening banquet. That was the event we attended. And my husband sat there and watched someone called an international director deliver a keynote presentation, and his wheels started turning. And Bob sat there thinking, I think maybe I might want to do this leadership thing. And I sat there after the director had spoken. There was something called an international speech contest. And I sat there watching that, not even a member, thinking, I think I want to do that. And so I went out the very next week and joined a club, and I guess you could say the rest is history. What you will find in Toastmasters is that no matter what brings you here, sooner or later you discover that the paths are endless. And I don't mean just the pathway paths. I mean the path of speech contests, the path of being an officer, the path of, as Lark mentioned, assistants, the conference chair, doing this role, doing that role. It's endless. And you never know where this organization can take you. So like Lark and Mohammed, I so agree. It is our responsibility once we get here to open the eyes of our members and those people who have not joined. I loved, and I lost count of how many times Lark said this, but remember how many times she said, And when they come, ask them to join. And I love that Mohammed yesterday said, I have an application, just in case we have people here who are not members yet. It is incumbent upon us to do that. So that is why I came to Toastmasters. As far as my most memorable online experience, I'm actually going to change that up a little bit. I will say that when my advanced club held its first online meeting, you know, it was almost like we were all doing our icebreaker all over again. We were in a totally new world. Now we have some Larks and Mohammeds and some real Jennifers, some real techies in my advanced club. But we were all new to this environment, and we were just so excited when we had held our first online meeting. I've been to many, I have attended many clubs, just as our other panelists all over the world. Everyone leaves an impression on me, but what I would say is my most memorable is simply the fact that our board of directors took us this way. Because again, can you imagine what would have happened to this organization had our board not had the vision to change direction and allow and encourage and support us to do this? So that is what I am going to take away as the most memorable, is the fact that our leaders had the courage to do it in the first place. Pam?
Thank you, Jana. And now we move to District Director Rose Bradford.
Thank you. I'm going to go a different way. I'm told that the first step in healing is to first admit you have a problem. My name is Rose Williams Bradford, and I am an introvert. I'm an introvert who's always felt she had nothing to say, who had nothing to contribute to the conversation. I listen a lot, I worked hard in the background, and I tried to fade into the wallpaper. For recovery, I joined Toastmasters International, and I plan to remain an active member for the rest of my life. I am a lifer. Toastmasters helped me find my voice and has given me the opportunity to gain confidence to know that I am enough, that my voice matters, that I can be on this panel with international directors, with past presidents, right? Toastmasters is a place where leaders are made. And I cling to that hashtag because I've never held or been paid for a significant leadership position. I've never been a supervisor. I've supported supervisors and managers for my entire 40-year career. I've been active in multiple organizations, very active and leading out, intended to spread myself thin. And I remember crying out to God once, and I says, Lord, I want to be good at something on this side of heaven, right? And Toastmasters ended up being that place for me. And our hashtag gave me the confidence to move forward because Toastmasters are never alone. And I knew that District 56 would not let me fail. This is a place where you can reach out and teach and train and guide others to success. And that's what we've been doing, or what you've been doing for me. And then I keep engaged by paying it forward, which is what all you are doing also. I initially ventured out of the club because I wanted to make a difference. I remember what my first experience was like and how I didn't even know we had division and area directors until 5 years in. And I wanted our members of our club to know that they matter, that they have district leaders, region leaders, and international leaders that we exist solely to provide excellent service to them, to respect their space, and to lead with integrity all the way. That is why I came to Toastmasters, and that is why I'll remain in Toastmasters. As far as my favorite Zoom meeting, I have a couple. The first one that was most memorable was I was invited to a installation service, an officer installation. It was Young Professionals Southeast. They were full of energy. It was so well attended. And the technology that was displayed was, for me, like, oh my God. They had the people already lined up. They had the officers on the screen. Each one showed up on the screen. They had a gavel that actually moved from one person to the other. I'm like, how did they do that? I was so very, very impressed with the level of technology and the energy that was exuded from that particular meeting. I attended over the holidays. It was a holiday celebration, and we were invited, and there was a Zoom background contest. So you were able to have different contests, and I went and did some research, and I actually won that contest. So that was pretty exciting for me, right? But they played games during that particular meeting too, and it was so unique. I truly enjoyed that experience. Then a couple of weeks ago at one of my home clubs, there were no speakers. It's a club that's struggling, still trying to find its footing, if you will. And so for the members who were there were a couple of double roles, and they were going to have just table topics because there was no prepared speech. And it wasn't clear, apparently, what should be done. So the table topic master did a round of table topics, 3 or 4, and passed it back to the Toastmaster. And you could clearly see it was like, uh-oh. So I took a point of privilege, and I had them to do a table topics round where you tell stories, where you go from one to the other, to the other, to the other. And then I challenged them to each think of a table topic, call on someone, and then that person had to call on someone else. They had the best time at that meeting. They realized that they could still have meetings and grow. And so just to see that light bulb that went off in their heads was priceless for me. So those are the 3 that stand out most in my mind. And I thank you for this opportunity. Back to you.
All right, let's check in with Joe and see if we have any questions out there.
Pam, we do. Eddie would like to know your perspectives on leading in times of adversity, not just COVID situations, but times of economic and weather-related disasters that had significantly impacted on district leadership.
Can I start?
Sure, Rose, go ahead.
One of the things I tried to impress upon the members this year is that we all have our value systems, and that I knew things were difficult for us. So I pressed upon everyone that we have to put first things first, that you have to take care of your health, your family, make sure that you have an income coming in, roof over your head, cling to your faith, and then focus on what you're going to volunteer with. Hopefully Toastmasters being at the top of that list. But when life happens, just communicate, and we're going to always understand that your health, your family, and what it takes for you to survive is going to come first. So regardless of the circumstances, floods, tornadoes, pandemics, those are the things that matter most.
Anyone else on the panel want to take that one? Lark?
I just want to say that I totally agree with what Rose just said, but also the fact that Toastmasters is a supportive environment and that our meetings are positive. So what I tell people is come to Toastmasters to get that positive energy back in your life. So I hope that people will do that. And Eddie, good to see you or hear you.
Mohammed?
I can add something. Like throughout my time in Toastmasters, we all have, in Houston, you know this too, we have seen floods, we have seen hurricanes, we have seen explosions, we have seen pandemics. Especially during these times, for leaders, it's important to be hyper-focused on the people, on the team, to have that compassion. You know, I used to do improv comedy long time ago. But one thing we did, like before going on the stage, we tapped each other on the back shoulder and we said, I've got your back. So especially during these times, for us as leaders, reach out to your team members and ensure that you've got their backs.
Wow, that gave me a little chill. I've got your back. Wow. Jana, you want to weigh in on that one? Jana, did you want to weigh in on that adversity question?
Well, I would just continue on with what Mohammed just said, and I absolutely agree with what Rose and Lark and Mohammed have said. And I would just continue that to remind us as leaders how important it is to be reaching out, especially to those members who have not yet embraced this environment. Maybe they are just so uncomfortable with it. Maybe they don't know how and they don't want you to know that, or maybe they're just overwhelmed and Toastmasters has just kind of gone to the background. But it is so important that we are reaching out to our members, reminding them that, Pam, as you say, that they matter. They matter. And I have long said that aside from my church family, Toastmasters are the most supportive, encouraging people I know. And I think in troubled times, we can help each other even more than we realize just by being there. So your club officers, vice president membership, public relations, but everyone, make sure you're connecting, whether it's a phone call, whether it's an email, whether it's a text, and staying in communication with those members you're not seeing so that we can encourage them and see how we can help them.
Well, I just heard some of the 7 C's of leadership: communicate, collaborate, have the courage to manage change. All right, Joe, do we have another question out there?
Pam, yes, we do. Robert Bailey would like to ask our panelists, how have you been able to gain the support of your spouse and family to devote so much time to Toastmasters?
Who's first on that one? Mohammed, you want to take that one? You look like you really want to say something.
Yes, you don't have to spend that much time in Toastmasters at all. Well, you just have to buy flowers, jewelry, chocolate, write them with whatever it takes. No, in all seriousness, we all have our priorities. And especially during this past year, I've known the importance of priorities more than I've ever realized. And for me, family is my priority. It's higher than Toastmasters, right? My spouse is not a Toastmasters. Her contribution to Toastmasters is that she allows me to do what I do for Toastmasters. We have 3 young children, and she's a full-time mom, and I don't think she has the bandwidth to take anything else right now. But I have to have her support. If she says that, hopefully she's not listening. If she says today that, okay, we need your attention here and not in Toastmasters, that becomes my priority, right? So that's it. Just make sure that they understand the value and why we're doing what we're doing.
I'm going to go to Rose next because I know you have an answer for this.
Several years ago, that was this young lady that walked up to me. I was going to a meeting and she says, when are you going to be in district leadership? And I quickly looked at her and I says, when I retire. As soon as I retired, doors opened and I became part of the trio. And things were going along smoothly, late nights, nights turn into mornings, not a problem. The sun was off, so it was just me, not a problem. Then I got blessed to get married, going into, in the middle of my program quality year, or right at the end of the first year. And then things were not as easy after then. And I would be up doing my thing, and he'd show up at the door, it's like, what are you doing? So we had several sit-down conversations. And then finally, he realized I wasn't going to stop. So we had to get to the understanding to know that I'm going to do what I have to do. I'm going to be with you. I'm going to give you first priority, but I'm going to have to do some things and just kind of back off a little bit. So we come to understanding, but I try to always balance. And that's why I take Sundays and Fridays. I know those are times that are sacred to him and our marriage. So I just make sure that there are times that we set aside that we know not to touch, and we're able to proceed. But you just put your priorities in place and try to not go beyond those boundaries.
Thank you, Rose. Jana?
Thank you, Pam. You know, Lark and I had the privilege of, Toastmasters was what we did with our spouse. And so we have a different perspective on that. But oh my goodness, through the years, I have certainly seen us lose incredible leaders because they did not have the support of their spouse. And what I would encourage us to do, not as the spouse, but Toastmasters, who is not the spouse of a non-Toastmaster, we need to take it upon ourselves to, every opportunity we have, thank that non-Toastmaster spouse for his or her support of the spouse who is a Toastmaster. Give that person accolades to remind them what that Toastmaster is accomplishing, what they are doing for the organization, how this would not have happened without them. Sometimes I think the spouses who are not Toastmasters have no idea what is happening and the value that their Toastmaster spouse is both learning and contributing. So we as Toastmasters, not the relative, need to take every opportunity we have to be the ones who are thanking that spouse for his or her support and letting that Toastmaster do what they do.
Thank you, Jana. Lark?
I'll just make a closing statement on this, and that is I agree with what everyone has said, and I just want Jana to know that I miss Bob and I miss Roger. But I hope all of you will make sure that your spouses know how important they are to you and how important they are to support you. So thank you.
Thank you, Lark. It's funny because Gary follows me everywhere. Even though he's not a Toastmaster, he is at every convention, every place I go in Toastmasters. I went to visit San Diego one year by myself, and it was amazing to me how many people asked me, where's Gary? Now, these are people that are not in my district that I don't interact with except at convention once a year, and they remembered Gary. So it's interesting. So people do appreciate your spouse for their support. They do notice that your spouse is there to support you. And so, yeah, I agree with Jana. We as the Toastmaster need to be thanking our spouse every day for all of the support that they give us. I know Rose's husband is also named Gary. So we have our Garys that we need to thank for the support that we have from them to do our Toastmasters leadership roles. Are there any questions in the chat master?
Pamela Carolway says that's why we introduced the Gary McCowan Spousal Award to District 56. Woohoo!
Oh, that's funny. Of course, Carol would say that. All right. Are there any other questions? If they're not, I do have a couple here that were in the Whova app. Are we ready to go to the Whova question?
Yes, we are. Thank you, Pam.
Okay. What do you find most fulfilling in serving in Toastmasters leadership? What do you find is most fulfilling in serving in Toastmasters leadership beyond the club? Go ahead, Lark.
I will just tell you that what I love about serving in Toastmasters leadership, obviously, is developing myself and developing my skills. But the other is the truly priceless golden opportunity to share Toastmasters around the world. So Jana continues to share the gold of Toastmasters around the world. Mohammed is doing it as a current international director. And I know that Rose will continue to do it. And all past leaders that I see are continuing to do that. We are continuing to serve the organization and share the gold of this organization at every possible moment. Because let's face it, there are over 7 billion people in the world, and we still have a lot of work to do in order to share Toastmasters with those 7 billion. So that's what I love, is the opportunity to continue to share and to continue to serve.
Go ahead, Jana.
Yeah, thank you, Pam, and thank you, Lark. I absolutely agree with that. What I would add to that is that it never ceases to amaze me what I continue to learn in this organization. And it's so interesting because, you know, you start out as a club, when you serve as a club officer, and then maybe you move up to an area. Can you hear her? Sorry. FedEx is here. You serve as maybe an area governor or just area director now. And you think, okay, I know everything I need to know about leadership now. But what I continually tell people is that every step you take is entirely different. You learn, as Lark says, we're continuing to develop our skills, and every single office you hold is completely different than the one you held before. And even after having gone through and serving as international president, I have to tell you, and thank you again, Lark, for appointing me to serve on the disciplinary committee. Oh my goodness. Never in a million years would I have expected that to be the learning opportunity that it was. So we just never stop learning in this organization as long as we are willing to continue to say yes. So keep saying yes, because you will keep learning, you'll keep sharing, as Lark said, and you won't look back.
Thank you. I saw a message in chat that I just have to comment on. I'm pretty sure Lark could tell me I was a lump of dirt and make me smile. So there's a little comic relief for you folks.
I would never say you're a lump of dirt.
No, Lark.
I would say you're a gold nugget, by the way.
You would say you were a golden nugget. Oh, that's great. Oh, me. Another comment that I can see here is when we were talking about spouses, this one came up. Member tags, guest tags for family members. And I know Dining Out Toastmasters has in the Sergeant at Arms box the spouses that normally attend the meetings. We have tags for those folks, and they are given a guest tag with their name on it and who they belong to, you know, whose spouse they are, so that everyone knows that they're part of our family as well.
May I comment on this real quick? On the topic of tags. So when I started serving as International Director at Toastmasters International sends name badges for spouses, I received it in the mail. My youngest one, middle one now, saw the tag and he started jumping up and down. Mama is a Toastmaster now. Mama is a Toastmaster now. But yeah, we didn't get to go to the conference, so she didn't get to wear the tag, but one day she will wear the tag.
Oh, that's great. That's a good comment. Thank you, Mohammed. All right, Joe, do we have any other questions out there? Oh, Rose, go ahead.
Yeah, I didn't get to comment on the previous question. Beyond the self-development and the perspective that you gain, what I love the most is when I see butterflies develop. When I see those leaders who are so timid initially, and then you see them develop and blossom and grow, and that is what really makes it for me. That's one of the reasons I stay in Toastmasters. When I see others go from A to Z and realize that their potential is so much more than what they thought, that is a blessing to me.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. I've watched Rose and Joe and Chandra. I worked with them all when they were club growth directors, and I've watched them learn, grow, progress in leadership. They came to us with mad skills, and they have just honed those skills and gotten better every day. So that is great to see, and it warms my heart, makes me smile to see that. Joe, chat master, what have we got in the chat?
I want everyone to know I paid Pam to say that, first of all. And then Harold Eaton would like to know, what is the best lesson you learned from a failure?
Ooh, lessons learned from a failure. Woo, that's personal. Okay, who wants to take that?
Okay. The first lesson I learned is that the failure doesn't define me. Admit it, try to figure out how to move forward, and hold your head up, because you are exemplifying the core principles of integrity, respect, and you try to do better and serve more excellent the next time. But just because you fail, it doesn't define who you are.
Amen, Rose. Anybody else want to take that one? Jana, are you thinking about it?
Well, am I on mute? Yeah. I would just say that we are so blessed to be learning leadership in Toastmasters, where we can fail and it's not over. You know, I won't repeat it now, but probably everyone here has heard my Dairy Queen story. And that was a time when I was serving as division director, and I just had a huge stumble. And it was public. And it was, I have told the story over and over and over about how, had I made that mistake in the corporate world, in a professional work setting, yes, Pam, I would have been shown the door, and my path of leadership development would have ended right then and there. But because it happened in Toastmasters, my club, my mentors looked at me and said, okay, Jana, you can do better, and here's how. And they picked me up and they dusted me off, and they showed me the way again and set me on my way. And I was able to, as I mentioned about Bob, learn from that mistake, and look where it took me. So we are so blessed to have the opportunity to fail in Toastmasters, because isn't that when we learn the most? And continue to be surrounded by those positive, encouraging people who want nothing but the best for us. And this is where we find it.
Yes, Mohammed?
I'll add to that. So I'll tie two questions. What I've learned from Toastmasters, these transferable skills that I take to work, and the skill or the ability to fail and recover is helping me at work too. You see, you have heard it probably many times, success is never a straight line. As you move forward, you're going to fail. There are many U-turns, there are many circles, roundabouts that will take you to where you get. The leaders have persistence, they have grit, and these are the skills we learn how to recover, how to bounce back from failures.
Lark?
And I loved Brian Honeycutt last night talked about we pay for our mistakes, but regrets bear interest. And so I think one of the great values of Toastmasters, as has already been said, is that this is a laboratory and we develop our skills. When we stumble, we pick ourselves up and we move forward. We don't have all the skills that we need for any job in this organization, but we gain skills daily. So I don't think I think of anything as a failure. I just think that I look back with 2020 hindsight and there are things I wish I had done, but that is all a part of the development process. So I don't look at anything as a failure, but just progress, right? So the other comment was progress, not perfection. I think of us as progressing daily. Thanks.
They're opportunities.
Opportunities.
Yes.
Well,
yes. I always told, in fact, Deepak quoted me yesterday. I always talk about there are no challenges, there are no problems, there are just opportunities. Absolutely.
I have a question here that came in on my chat on my phone. It's a text. It says, all of you leaders on the panel, many people love you and your leadership experience and would love to have mentoring time with you. How do you balance all of the requests that you get? And we know you get them. Go ahead, Lark.
I put them in my iPhone calendar, and if they are not in my iPhone calendar, they do not get done. I do have individuals that I'm mentoring on a continuous basis every month, and we set aside a day of the month, a time of the day to do that. But just to talk with individuals, to encourage them, certainly those can be one-on-one types of times. But if someone wants to set up a regular mentoring schedule, then I'm certainly open to that. Thanks.
Yes, Jana?
Yeah, thank you, Pam, and thank you, Lark. I do the same thing. What I would add to that is, as far as being able to manage the time, one thing that I do share with people who reach out to me for mentoring, and some people I have weekly meetings with, others it's monthly, like Lark said. But I ask them the very first time they contact me, how serious are you about this? Because I have certainly had people who will contact me and, you know, we think we know where we're going and we have a plan, and then they fail to show up. And so it is important when you are looking for a mentor to understand that relationship and to know that there is not a person on this panel that would not love to spend time with you and help you any way we can. But we have to know you're serious about it. we all only have so much time, right? And we are happy to give that time, but it's important to respect the time of everyone. And when we set those calls, to stick to our time and make certain that we are showing that same respect.
Mohammed?
Thank you. I just want to emphasize the importance of mentoring and how mentoring has changed the way I think. Lark has been my mentor. She'll always be my mentor, and I'll forever be grateful for the nuggets he has shared and will continue to share with me. Mentoring is not only in Toastmasters, right? And since I work full-time, I serve as an international director, I'm a parent, mentoring could be anywhere. And I think it is our responsibility to mentor people. Of course, the interests have to align, but it is our responsibility to help others because someone at one point helped us. So if you're not mentoring anyone, this is your opportunity to say, hey, do you have a mentor?
Jana?
And Pam, one of the things that I think we could add to this particular topic is I think it is even more important right now in this day and age of online platform that we offer to help, that we are looking for people who maybe we can say, you know, I would love to meet with you sometime, because I know, you know, Pam and Lark, I know we had this situation. Mohammed, I don't remember when you joined Toastmasters, but I know that had I, and probably Pam and Lark, not stepped out and attended those events outside our club, those area division contests, those district contests and conferences, that is where we first saw leadership in action beyond our club. That was when we had that aha moment that, whoa, there's more than just my club to this. And with a lot of those events not happening face to face anymore, I think it is even more incumbent upon us as leaders to not let people slip through the cracks and to make sure that we are following up with them and encouraging them to move on and offering to help them in any way we can.
All right, it looks like we are at 2 minutes till 11. Oh my goodness. So if each one of you could just have some brief comment, I'm going to start with Rose. Well, let's end with Rose because she's the district director. Okay, let's start with Mohammed. Let's go that way.
Thank you. Great session. I don't know how it's like almost 1 hour now. I wish we can just go on and on and on. But I want to thank all of you for serving as leaders. You know, we may not all have the titles, and titles really don't mean much when it comes to leadership. All of you are leaders. And sometimes our paths may be challenging. Like sometimes you may have challenges with your team. Sometimes your teams may not function well, but this is your leadership opportunity. It's your leadership opportunity to make a difference. And not just in Toastmasters. We're not making leaders only in Toastmasters. These are leaders who are going to go outside these Toastmasters clubs and impact many lives. That's the impact we're making. When we make better communicators, better leaders, we are changing the world to be a better place. And for that, I thank each and every one of you. If you are a club member and you take your role, I thank you. Club officers, district leaders, I thank all of you for what you do.
All right, Lark.
I think Mohammed said it all. So I will just say we all have golden communication and leadership opportunities in this organization. We need to serve in those positions, and we need to share the gold with more and more people. Thank you.
Thank you, Lark. Jana?
I absolutely agree. Thank you so much to every one of you who is serving as a leader, thinking about serving as a leader, will serve as a leader. We would not exist without you. And so thank you for what you do. Bob's grandfather kept a sign on his desk for as long as he worked, and then Bob put it on his desk, and that sign read, "When you're through learning, you're through." Fellow Toastmasters and leaders, this is the place where we can have endless opportunities to learn, endless opportunities to grow, and as Mohammed said, endless opportunities to change the world. So I encourage every one of you, every time another opportunity is laid before you, say yes, because you have no idea where it will take you.
Oh, the places you will go.
Places you will go.
Yes, Rose?
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, what you have seen over the past 4 days and culminating today is you've seen individuals reach out all over the district. The conference was designed with you in mind to make sure that you have the tools you need. You've seen teaching firsthand, from free toast to how to be a leader. You've seen us reach out, and you've seen us teach, all with the purpose of keeping you engaged, with keeping you informed, letting you know that you as a member matter. Nothing, all these titles doesn't make a difference, whether it's international level, regional, district. Without the member, we don't exist. So the last thing I want you to know is that members matter most. And we're going to be here to serve. We're going to do it with integrity. We're going to respect you. We're going to have service all over, and we're going to try to do our best to walk in excellence. And we just want you to stay engaged. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rose. And now let's turn it back to our chat master and program quality director to tell us what's next, Joe.
Well, thank you, Pam. Thank you, panelists. What an awesome session. I am sad that this is our last session other than transit. We have one more session, and that is transitioning. But I can't thank this panelist enough for all that you do, for bringing us all these golden nuggets to our district, to our members. We appreciate you so much. And at 11:15, we'll be at our next session. Pam, thank you. Our godmother of District 56, we couldn't do it without you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I love it. We'll see you at the next one.
All right.